Hi guys, my name is Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at our very first box office predictions for Halloween Kills.
Everybody's a suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
What has got Nards?
It's never too early to give your predictions for any movie before it comes out, even months and months before it comes out. I will be doing more than one box office prediction video for Halloween Kills, basically because I've done it before for Halloween 2018, and I think it's good to do a very first initial box office prediction to see how different it might be. Now, when I done the Halloween from 2018 prediction, I got it pretty bang on, to be honest. It's going to be harder to do Halloween Kills this time, basically because of what's been happening outside of Hollywood and obviously inside of Hollywood as well with regards to COVID. I'm going to be looking at some factors. I'll look at the box office intake for Halloween 2018, of course. I'm going to be looking at the difference between the intake from Halloween 1 from 1978 to its first sequel in 1981 with Halloween 2, because it kind of gives us a good gauge, or a possible gauge, with Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. I'm also going to be gauging the box office for Halloween Kills with the likes of A Quiet Place movies and the Conjuring movies, but you're probably thinking, well, they're nothing like Halloween. Well, they're not really, but they're horror franchises. We've got A Quiet Place Part 2 that came out a few weeks ago, and we've got The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which came out this week, and it's good to gauge it because they've came out just after cinema started opening up again due to COVID, so I think it's a good idea to do something like that. Obviously, this is only June and Halloween Kills comes out in October, so there might be a benefit for Halloween Kills coming out in October rather than one of the first horror movies to come out during or after the pandemic's almost over, hopefully. With that being said, let's start with the Halloween movies to begin with. Now, I've got everything written down because I'm not going to remember all the numbers, but the original Halloween 1 had a budget of $325,000. Now, these first two movies, they're round about the money because obviously it's been 30-40 years since they've been counted, but roughly $325,000, that's what the budget was. In its first opening weekend, the original Halloween made $1.27 million. Now, that's very low, but it had a limited release to begin with, but we still have to go with the original numbers. Its original domestic total was $47 million. Again, this is money back in 1978. Now, I know that we have to take into account inflation, which I don't do. However, I go with percentages. That's probably the best way to go with this. So, $47 million domestic. It made around about $23 million internationally, so you're looking at about $70 million in total for the original Halloween. So remember that. We go into Halloween 2 from 1981. The budget was $2.5 million, so it's a lot higher. Its domestic opening was $7.6 million. That's a good gauge. Its domestic total was $25.5 million. We don't have an international total, unfortunately, so we're going to have to go with a total of $25.5 million. Now, let's look at the difference between the first two movies. The total domestic difference was a 47% decline from the original one and Halloween 2. And that's the domestic total, not the domestic opening, the domestic total of the first two movies. We move on to A Quiet Place. Now, this is slightly different because A Quiet Place Part 2 is still out. The same with The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which I'll get on to. But A Quiet Place's budget was $17 million. Its domestic opening weekend was $20 million. And the domestic total was $188 million. The international total was $147 million. And its total worldwide was $335 million. I'll get into the reasons why I'm mentioning all of this soon. A Quiet Place Part 2's budget was $17 million as well. Domestic opening was $47 million. We don't have any totals because it's still out just now. So if you look at A Quiet Place's difference between Part 1 and Part 2, we can only go by the differences in the opening weekend domestically, and that was a 6% decline in the domestic openings. We'll go into The Conjuring. That came at $20 million budget. It had an opening weekend domestically of $41 million. Domestic total was $137 million. International total was $180 million. And the total worldwide was $317 million. So if we go into The Conjuring 2, the budget was double this time. It was $40 million budget. It had roughly the same domestic opening weekend, which was $40 million. The domestic total was $102 million. And the international total was $208 million. So that's a worldwide total of $310 million. And then we'll go into The Conjuring 3. Its budget was $39 million. And we only have the domestic opening weekend, which was $24 million. So that's a significant decline. So if you look at the Conjuring differences, the opening weekend decline between part 1 and part 2 was almost zero. So we don't have to bother about that. But the opening decline between part 2 and part 3 was 40%. The domestic total between 1 and 2 was a decline of 25% in total. And then the total worldwide between 1 and 2 was 2%. So not a big difference. I can't compare 2 and 3 because again, part 3 is not finished its domestic run or international run yet. Now here's where we get the interesting part. Now this isn't me guessing how much it's going to be. This is me going by figures that I've looked at. Obviously anything can change, anything can happen, but if we go by the figures that we looked at with A Quiet Place, The Conjuring and the original Halloween movies, as well as Halloween from 2018, this is what I got here. So if we follow the original first two movies, so if we follow the decline between Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, if Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills follows that trend, then we'll be looking at an opening domestic of $40 million for Halloween Kills. Quite a big decline. If you look at the total domestic, we'll be looking at around about $84 million. If you look at the international total, we'll be looking at about $51 million. So a worldwide total for Halloween Kills comes in at $135 million. That's if we follow the trend between Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. If we move on to the trend that A Quiet Place has, we can only go by the opening domestic because obviously A Quiet Place Part 2 is still out. But if we go by the trend between A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, Halloween Kills opening would be around about $71 million. So that is a decline from $76 million from Halloween 2018, but not a massive decline. $71 million would still be respectable due to the COVID situation. If we go into The Conjuring Part 2 and Part 3, the opening domestic, Halloween Kills would come in at around $46 million. So a big decline from $76 million from 2018. But again, it would still be understandable due to the COVID situation, but still a major drop. $46 million isn't a bad intake for a Halloween movie, but still a major drop. But then if we go into the difference between The Conjuring 1 and The Conjuring 2, if we take that trend and put it into Halloween and Halloween Kills, we'll be looking at an opening domestic of around about $76 million. So almost identical to the 2018 movie. And we'll be looking at a total worldwide of around about $250 million. I think that came in around about 2.2% drop worldwide. That's what we got with The Conjuring 1 and 2. So if we take a 2.2% drop for Halloween Kills from Halloween 2018, it would go from $255 million worldwide, Halloween 2018, to $250 million worldwide for Halloween Kills. Now that's a lot of numbers to take in, but that is actual facts from the first two Halloween movies, the first two Quiet Place movies, and the first three Conjuring movies. Again, A Quiet Place, even the original Halloween movies, might not be a good indication of what's going to happen with Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. The only reason I included A Quiet Place and The Conjuring is because they're big movies, big horror franchises, as well as coming out during the COVID situation, so it's a good gauge. But again, we've got 4 months until Halloween Kills comes out, so things could change from there. All I could say is though, I think it's going to make more than $46 million opening weekend. I don't think it's going to make $76 million opening weekend unless the COVID situation changes. But this is just my first prediction. I'm going to do a couple more predictions up until maybe a few weeks before the movie comes out. But that's my initial reaction, between 46 and 76, so I'll go with a safety figure. I'll say about $61 million opening weekend for Halloween Kills. That's domestically. I can't really gauge domestic total yet, and I can't really gauge worldwide total yet, but at the moment my only guess or guesstimate is $61 million domestic opening weekend for Halloween Kills. So that's my first prediction, guys. I'd like to know your thoughts. What do you think of my thought process, first of all, when I came to my conclusion, and what do you think at this moment in time? What do you think is going to be the opening domestic weekend for Halloween Kills? As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.